Greetings, friends. Just sitting here drinking some coffee and thinking about pens. And one thing that comes to mind is, what are my favorite pens of 2018? So we're going to go through them all. Keep in mind, this list of favorite pens of 2018 is not pens that came out in 2018. Not pens that I bought in 2018, just simply pens that I liked best in 2018. So we have a huge spectrum of prices, etc. I'm stratifying all these by price so we can, keep it interesting for everybody. One ground rule really is that I only included pens that you can readily buy today, meaning discontinued pens are not typically on here. Also, vintage pens, with one exception, which I'll explain, are generally not included. So, for example, if I was going to include vintage pens on any favorite pen list, it would absolutely start with this pen right here. This is a A.A. Waterman Model 3 middle joint eyedropper pen. It is about 100 years old, and it is absolutely one of the prizes of my collection. I absolutely love this pen. But you can't, even though it's a vintage pen, it's not a hugely expensive pen, but you just can't run out and buy one of these today. You kind of have to just, discover it almost. So that's why pens like this, as much as I love them, and if I was purely going to limit it to what pens I liked best at this point in time, definitely would include a lot of pens like this. I'm basically not including pens like this on the list. Although you will see a vintage pen on here. It's a vintage pen that's included because it is readily available. But this does not fall into that category, so you will not be seeing pens like this on the list. So, without further ado, I'm going to first show you the honorable mentions. These are pens that did not make my list, and there's a lot of fantastic pens here. So, these are great pens. They just didn't quite make my list of my favorites of 2018, because again, I picked one pen at each price point, and obviously when you pick one, you leave a lot of great pens out. So, without further ado, here we go. In the top price category, at about $1,000, if you were to buy one of these, be a Aurora 88. This one is particularly expensive because it's got a sterling silver cap. I did not pay nearly that price for it. This is a vintage one that I got last year at a pen show. Well, I wouldn't say vintage. It's probably from the 1990s or thereabouts, but they still make this, and you can pick one up if you want a new one for just about $1,000. So this is a piston filler with a 14 karat gold nib. Great ink window, fantastic to write with. You'll see how well it writes a little later. Just writes fantastically, and I just love the way this pen looks. The aesthetics on this pen, I just think, are absolutely second to none. Great pen. Did not make the list though. So as good as this pen is, it was a tough decision, but this pen didn't make the list. So that's the highest price honorable mention. Next price category, a pen I just recently got. A Pilot Custom A23. This pen sells currently in the US for $288. It is a vacuum filler pen. This is the what they call the smoke version. It's basically a translucent gray color. Great nib, 14 karat gold nib. Just a great, beautiful pen. Really comfortable. Like I said, vacuum filler, terrific pen. Did not make the list. Next up for a pen that didn't make the list is a pen that did come out in 2018. This is a fairly new pen. This is the Opus 88 Coloro. It is an eyedropper filled pen with a integrated shutoff valve. It has a steel nib, but a nice big number 6 steel nib. Writes great. Has these sort of really nice sort of chunky bits of acrylic at the end, which I think look really sharp. Does not post. So that is one sort of disadvantage of it. It's also at $120, I think, at about the upper end of the price point, about what a pen should like this should cost. I don't want to say it's overpriced, but it's definitely at the top end of the price scale for a pen like this. But yet a great pen, but did not make the cut. Again, Indian-made pen, Lotus Vamsa. Looks like a stick of bamboo, handmade in India. Just the finish on this, I just think, is just absolutely outstanding. gorgeous pen. Really like it. Great clip. Also a non-posting pen, but it comes with a really nice number 6 nib, writes really well, and just the craftsmanship on this is just absolutely fantastic. Lotus Vamsa goes for about $100, and handmade, incredible craftsmanship. Really, really like this pen. Did not make the list. Next pen is the only vintage pen on the list. This is an Esterbrook Model J. These pens were made in the 40s and 50s. This pen cost $3.50 when brand new. You could pick one up today in nice shape for about $35 to $40. They are readily available. They literally made hundreds of millions of these at the time. Has the Esterbrook interchangeable nib unit. So the nib unit completely unscrews, and there are dozens and dozens of different Esterbrook nibs readily available that you can replace it with. Great pen. Only vintage one on the list, and I only included it because they're you could get one of these almost as easily as you can get any one of the new pens on the list. They are readily available, and it's a great pen. Comes in a multitude of colors. I'm going to be doing a series of videos in 2019 where I go through Esterbrook to some degree of detail. I have quite an extensive collection of Esterbrooks, and we're kind of going to go through them all. But this is the Esterbrook Model J at around the $40 price point. This is the runner-up pen. Did not make my final list. At $16, we have a Wingsung 601. This is a fairly new to the market pen. This one came in a couple of variants in colors and finishes, and actually different filling mechanisms. So this one is the spring pump filling mechanism. They actually make also one with a diaphragm, very much like a Parker 51, and much like a Parker 51, it has a hooded steel nib. Very reliable writer, writes great. Getting an awful lot of pen for $16, but as much as I like this pen, did not make the list. Finally, at the very low end, we have probably the best deal you're ever going to see in a piston filler. This is a $2 piston filling pen, the Lamb V2 3059, and it is a really nice piston filler with a hooded steel nib. Writes great, very reliable, well-functioning piston mechanism, all in a $2 pen. Great pen, great deal, great price, but yet again, did not make the list. So, with all these fantastic pens that were effectively runner-ups or also-rans, you're probably wondering what did make my list as the top pens for 2018. Your suspense is going to end right now, because I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, starting off the list of my favorite pens of 2018. We have 8 pens altogether with 5 different countries represented. So this is a pretty nice mix here. So starting off at the low end, in the under $10 category, it can be nothing but the Platinum Preppy. The versatility of this pen for approximately $5 is really quite something. You can eyedropper fill it, as I've done this one here. It makes a great eyedropper filler. In fact, that's actually preferable because the uses proprietary platinum cartridges or a proprietary platinum converter, which actually costs more than the pen. You even have versatility on the points. You can remove the fountain pen nib and replace it with a highlighter nib or a marker nib. So it's just great. I did an extensive review of this pen, but it's kind of hard to beat in the under $10 category, which the under $10 category might be one of the toughest categories. There is a plethora of inexpensive Chinese pens, etc. in the under $10 category, but I still think when it comes to quality, consistency, overall versatility, it is very, very hard to beat the Platinum Preppy. Next up in the under $20 category is a Chinese pen, the Wingsung 618. So this is a piston-filled pen with a hooded steel nib. This particular one is a transparent demonstrator, but it does come in other colors and finishes. It is somewhat stylistically like sailor pens with this cap band, like Parker pens with this arrow clip, and Shirley like Parker with the Parker 51 style hooded nib. About $18 or so I think they get for this pen at the moment, but it is worth every penny. Great material. It's not a cheap plastic. It is a solid heavy plastic, and it just works and writes great. And fantastic pen. I did do a full review video on this one earlier in the year. Great pen, massive ink capacity as well. Just a great pen. The next pen in the under $50 category, I think might be one of the best buys in the fountain pen world. This is a Ranga Model 3. It costs $29. It writes fantastic. It even comes with an extra nib and feed when you buy it. It comes really nicely packaged. They throw a bonus pen in. This is the eyedropper filled pen, $29. Ranga makes several pens in the $29 price point. I've reviewed two of them, the Model 3 and the Model 4 CS. This one is all ebonite. The only thing that's not ebonite, it's even got a ebonite feed. The only thing on this pen that's not ebonite is the nib and the clip. It's all handmade. This is a matte ebonite finish called the Bakul finish, which just looks terrific. They make it in tons of different colors and finishes, etc. Great pen. Ranga Model 3 is my choice in the under $50 category. The next pen is in the under $100 category, is the TWSBI VAC 700R. I have not done a review of this pen yet, but this pen is a very well-known pen, a vac filler with an integrated shutoff valve, has a very large ink capacity, and because it has the integrated shutoff valve, etc., this is a pen I use when I travel on airplanes. I've taken this pen to multiple continents, multiple countries, all over the United States. Great pen. It doesn't really post. You can kind of sit the cap at the end, but it doesn't post. That's my only gripe about this pen. Other than that, it's fantastic. Has a nice big number 6 size nib that writes great. Has an integrated inner cap which keeps the nib dry. Writes first time every time. Great, reliable pen. Costs about $70. This is my choice in the under $100 category for 2018. Okay, in the under $200 category, from going to Japan now, we have the Platinum 3776 Century. This one is the Bourgogne finish, which is sort of the red wine color. Great pen. Beautiful 14 karat platinum nib. Just looks fantastic. Absolutely stunning pen. Cartridge converter filled pen. With great platinum quality converter. Just works great, writes great, absolutely fantastic. This is the first appearance of a gold nib on our list. So you're first hitting your first gold nib on our list at the under $200 price point. Next pen in the under $300 price point is the Sailor 1911 Large. I did a video on this where I compared it to the Mont Blanc 146, and I said this was actually a better deal than the Mont Blanc 146. I stand by it. It's a fraction of the cost of the Mont Blanc. Has an absolutely magnificent 21 karat gold nib, which I believe might be the highest gold content nib that you're going to see currently in the fountain pen world. Just looks terrific. Cartridge converter pen, writes great. Looks fantastic. If you want that classic black cigar shaped pen, you don't necessarily have to spend nearly $1,000 for a Mont Blanc. You can get this Sailor 1911 Large, and it's absolutely a fantastic pen, and it is my choice in the under $300 category. Okay, heading over to Europe and to Germany. In the under $400 category, I have the classic, the Pelikan M600. This is in the extremely well-known and classic Pelikan black and green stripe motif. It is a piston filling pen with the classic Pelikan bill-shaped cap. Posts really nicely. Has an absolutely gorgeous 14 karat gold nib, and it is just spectacular, writes great, super smooth, beautiful writer. Pelikan nibs tend to write on the broad side, so if you're getting to get a pen like this, we'll see when we write it. Make sure you're an educated consumer about the nib width you're getting, because you may end up getting a nib width that's too broad for your particular taste. So just be cautious with that, but it is a fantastic, fantastic pen. Excellent, excellent craftsmanship, and it is my choice in the under $400 category. In the $500 and over category, I had a lot of tough decisions to make, as you can imagine. As much as I say loved this pen right here, as much as I absolutely loved the Pelikan M805 Ocean Swirl, which you can see a video I did of that, and I absolutely raved about that pen. I stand by everything I said about that pen. When it came down to it, I just had to stick with my Visconti. So this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age Oversize. Also might have the longest name of any pen that I have. Absolutely classic Visconti pen made from lava. And so it's got a very unique finish. It's sort of a lava stone based composite material. Has the canonical Visconti Ponte Vecchio bridge shaped clip. It uses what they call a power filler, which is basically Visconti's vacuum filler. This one does not have the integrated shutoff valve. So it's a vac filler, not the biggest ink capacity. Considering it's a big pen with a vac filler, you'd think it would hold quite a bit of ink. It actually holds a moderate amount of ink, but I wouldn't say a lot. Does not have a gold nib. This is 23 karat palladium. Visconti did not, they discontinued gold nibs in their higher end pens a while ago. Now they use palladium as their sort of precious metal of choice. But writes fantastic. This is a fine. We'll see shortly. Posts well. Just a delight of a pen. Love it, love it, love it. Have not done a review yet, but one will be forthcoming. And as you can imagine, it's going to be a very, very favorable review. So that is quite a bit of pens that we have talked about. So you probably want to see writing samples on all of these. So I'm going to do writing samples on both the honorable mentions and the pens that won. And we're going to see that right now. So here we go. Here we go, folks, with our writing samples. First up is the Lanbitu. Model 3059. And this has a hooded steel nib. And this is extra fine. And this ink is Noodler's X-Feather. Okay, that's our first pen, the Lanbitu 3059. Next up is the Wing Sung 601. And this is also an extra fine steel nib that is hooded. And this ink is Monteverde Horizon Blue. Okay, that is the Wing Sung Model 601. The next pen up is our only vintage pen today. This is a Esterbrook. And this is a Model J pen. And this has a steel nib like all Esterbrook's do. And the only American-made pen of the batch and the only vintage pen of the day. And this ink is, this is also a sack filler, interesting enough. So it's also the only sack filler in the bunch. And this ink is Diamine Poppy Red. Okay. Next up, going from America to India, this pen is the Lotus Vamsa. So this is a non-posting pen. So we'll just put the cap down over there. And this is a Lotus Vamsa. And this is a steel nib in broad, and this ink is Ackerman, SBRE Brown, named and produced by Stephen Brown, the very famous YouTube fountain pen reviewer. So this pen is the Lotus Vamsa. This is a handmade ebonite pen, handmade in India. So now going to Taiwan. This pen here is the Opus 88 Coloro Demonstrator. This is also a non-posting pen with a number 6 size steel nib. So this is the Opus 88 Coloro Demonstrator. And this is a number 6 steel nib in broad. And this ink is Diamine Terracotta. So this is the Opus 88 Coloro Demonstrator. Going to Japan, and we start on our gold nibs on the runner-ups. So this is the Pilot Custom 823, and this has got a 14 karat broad gold nib, and boy, does this write well. And this is a vac filler. And there you go. And this ink is an ink that actually came with the pen. This is Pilot Blue. Great ink, great pen. And this, like I said, this is, I only got this a few months ago. This is my newest acquisition by far in the bunch. So pretty impressive that it actually even made it this far on the list, given that I just got this pen. So that's the Pilot Custom 823. So heading over to the only pen from Europe in the runner-up bunch, but it sits at the top of the runner-up bunch, and it is from Italy, and it is the Aurora 88. So this is a Aurora 88, and this is a 14 karat. I'm going to say it's a medium to fine. It is an unlabeled nib, but it is gorgeous and wet, and I just absolutely love the way this nib writes. And you can coax a modicum of line variation out of this, but I'm obviously not inclined to push it much, but I just love the way this writes, the wetness, etc. Got a fantastic, really functional ink window that runs fully around the pen and is nice and wide. It is a piston filler, sterling silver cap. I just love this pen. I did a full video on this pen right after I got it, so just check that video out. Did not get it new. It's probably a 25 or 30-year-old pen. I got it at a pen show just this past year. So great pen. Okay, that is how the runner-ups performed. Let's see how the winners do, shall we? Okay, first up in the winners category from Japan, we have in the under $10 price range, we have the Platinum Preppy. and this is a 0.3 millimeter steel nib. And this ink is Noodler's Black Swan in English Roses. I haven't done a review of this ink yet, but I will. It's an interesting ink. But great pen. Like I said, you have lots of different nib options, in different sizes of fountain pens. You can put marker tips on it. You can put highlighter tips on it. You can eyedropper fill this pen. You could use platinum cartridges, platinum converter. Tons of options. Great pen, under $10. Fantastic pen, and definitely the winner in the under $10 category. Okay, next up in the under $20 category, we have the Wing Sung 618, and this is a hooded steel nib piston filler. Great, and this is in fine. Great pen. Really like it. Fantastic ink capacity. Can't speak more highly about this pen at this price range. This ink is Noodler's Dragon's Napalm. Okay, next up from India in the winners category, in the under $50 price band, is the Ranga Model 3. This has a medium steel nib. And this is an eyedropper, but it is available in a cartridge converter version if you spend a few more bucks. But I think the eyedropper version works great, writes great, has a medium steel nib. This nib is made by Canwrite, which is a Indian-made nib company, and this ink is Iroshizuku Tsutsuji. Which is a good ink to use in an eyedropper filled pen, because I certainly wouldn't use, probably would not use Iroshizuku inks in any kind of a sac filled pen, because they can be a bit alkaline and cause problems, but no problem in an eyedropper pen at all. So this might be the best deal in the pen world right now at $29. There's several Ranga pens that are in the $29 price point, and they are great value. So that is the winner in the under $50 category. Next up in the winners category, in the under $100 category from Taiwan, this is the TWSBI VAC 700R. This has a number 6 fine steel nib. Writes just great. Love it. Fantastic filling mechanism. Does have an integrated shutoff valve, which I happen to like. Some people find them a little bit of an inconvenience, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives on that. Just a great pen. They sell an awful lot of these, and it is no surprise why. Great pen. The only thing, like I said, the only negative I have of this entire pen is that they should have just made it so it posted. But beyond, you can kind of stick the cap in there, but it doesn't really stay on. That's my only gripe about the pen. But we'll do a full review of that at a future date. This ink is Waterman Tender Purple. Okay, that is the TWSBI VAC 700R. Okay, now gold nibs are making an appearance on our winners list. At the under $200 price point, we have the Platinum 3776 Century. Platinum 3776 Century. So this is 3776 Century. And this is a 14 karat gold medium nib. Writes just great, absolutely superb, fantastic. And this, like I said, this is the first appearance of gold nibs on our winning list at the $200 and under price point. And this ink is, I hope I spelled correctly and pronounced it correctly, is J. Herbin Rouge Bourguignon. Which matches this pen just great. So, Platinum 3776 Century. Next up at the under $300 price point, staying in Japan, is a Sailor 1911 large. And this has a 21 karat gold nib. And this is a, like the pen before it, a cartridge converter pen, fantastic pen, in the under $300 price point, absolutely terrific, a fraction of the cost of, say, a comparable Montblanc pen, and I think is a very, very reasonable alternative, if not a better one, to that pen. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous nib, writes great, etc. Love it, love it, love it. This ink is Sailor Epinard, which is a spinach. Epinard means spinach in French, and this is a spinach green ink. Great ink, great pen. Sailor 1911 large, great pen, 21 karat gold nib, fantastic. Okay, heading over to Germany, we have a piston filling Pelikan pen, a classic, the Pelikan M600. All the pens from Pelikan that begin with the letter M are piston fillers. There's a tip for you there. And get the Pelikan, classic Pelikan bill shaped clip. Gorgeous Pelikan 14 karat fine nib with just some beautiful scroll work, two-tone nib, looks great. So this is the Pelikan M600. And this ink, and this has a 14 karat gold nib. And this ink is Pelikan dark green. Standard Pelikan ink, great, great shade of green. Love it, love it, love it. Piston filling Pelikan pen M600, just a classic. All right, top of the heap. Interestingly enough, both pens in my top categories were Italian-made pens. I had the Aurora 88 in the runner-up category. In the winners category, we have the Visconti Homo Sapiens, a Bronze Age, oversize. So, Visconti Homo Sapiens, Bronze Age, oversize. A nice long name for a pen. And this has a 23 karat palladium nib. Gorgeous, gorgeous, two-toned Visconti palladium nib. Just absolutely love it. And writes just fantastically. You can coax a tiny, and I do mean tiny, bit of variation out of this. It is not a flex pen, but like I said, you can get some variation out of it. Great nib. You would have thought the one at the top of the heap would have had a gold nib, now wouldn't you? That's what everyone was thinking. 23 karat palladium, great nib, writes great, absolutely fantastic pen, feels great, unique material, just love it. And this ink is plain old Waterman, absolute brown. So, that is an awful lot of pens. for one video. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. This was a fun video to make, I have to say. A lot of pens, a lot of writing, a lot of talking. But let's see, given that my criteria for picking pens for this video was that not necessarily that they be pens I even bought or acquired or came out in a given year, pens can definitely make an appearance in subsequent favorite pens of the year videos. So let's see how my list changes next year. That will be an interesting thing to see. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and tell your friends, or your enemies for that matter. Hope you don't have too many of those. If you have any suggestions, please let me know, and I'll endeavor to improve. And as we always say, until next time, bye-bye.